Hello and welcome fellow motorsports fans. It's been a surprisingly calm week of racing with seemingly every series in its summer break, but we still had a few highlights like IndyCar and IndyNXT, GTWC Australia and the Carrera Cup Benelux. I'm here to tell you all about it, so let's not waste any more time. Off we go. IndyCar's second round on the Indy GP layout was a crazy race with a few twists which ultimately saw a classic Scott Dixon victory, his first in the season if you can believe that. A few lap 1 shenanigans took a few key players out of contention as the likes of Joseph Newgarden, Marcus Armstrong, Alex Palou, Romain Grosjean and Scott Dixon himself were caught up in accidents. None of them were race ending, but most of those involved got forced onto really awkward strategies by pitting under the resulting full course yellow. Devlin DeFrancesco had the lead for about one lap after the full course yellow, the result of a mega start, but quickly dropped back into utter irrelevance as expected. Pole sitter Graham Rahal looked poised to take the win for the next 60 laps, only being chased by RLL teammate Christian Lundgaard. Lundgaard's chances got ruined by a poor final stop, dropping him off the podium behind Pato O'Ward. After that final round of stops, it quickly became apparent that Dixon, who was currently leading on track, had in fact saved enough fuel to make it home despite running a very good pace as well. Rahal had the car and the pace to close the gap, but ran out of time to pull off the race-winning move. If you want to see a crazy win out of nowhere from the most experienced driver in the sport, go watch that race. Dixon's Chip Ganassi teammate and championship leader Alex Palou had a, for his standards, relatively poor race, as he was also caught up in some lap 1 chaos and only finished in P7. Since nearest rival Newgarden finished way down the order though, Palou easily retains a 100 points lead. In fact, Dixon takes over P2 in the standings from Newgarden by a few points. I said in the preview that I'll have my eyes on O'Ward this race, and I think he just about did what he could. Finishing P3 in a race where he had the second quickest car at best, while beating both of his well-running teammates is pretty good, but unfortunately he never seemed to be in win contention. Something which looks less and less likely to change before the end of the season. And last but not least, new rookie Linus Lundqvist continues to deliver, comfortably beating Castroneves in both quali and race. IndyNXT had its 10th round as well, and the championship battle is certainly not over yet. Hunter McElrea finally secured his first win of the season ahead of teammate James Rowe and Reese Gold. The Kiwis' pace was only rivaled by fellow Andretti driver and last year's USF Pro 2000 champion Louis Foster, as the pair was massively gapping the field from lap 1. Unfortunately, the race for the lead ended with contact when Foster went for a somewhat optimistic unexpected move and McElrea turned in on him, resulting in disastrous race-ending contact for the Brit and some minor damage for McElrea. The latter still just about brought it home ahead of the next battling pair, which would end up completing the podium, clearly in a pace bracket of their own. Former second in the standings Nolan Siegel apparently burned his tyres up way too hard as he was dropping hard in the second half of the race, finishing P12 and thus dropping to P3 in the standings. Kiko Porto, the 19-year-old Brazilian, currently sits P2 in the USF Pro 2000 Championship, had a pretty strong debut in IndyNXT, finishing P9 despite driving in the questionable Cape Motorsports machinery. Jamie Chadwick at least continues her streak of top 10 finishes, with a third P10 in 4 races. Championship leader Rasmussen didn't exactly have the pace to impress, but to be fair, Gold was the only of the 8 HMD drivers able to do so anyway. A solid P6 still means he finished ahead of many of his potential rivals and retains a 33 points lead. The way the IndyNXT point system works though, this can more than easily be overcome in the remaining 3 rounds, so don't miss the final overround of the year in 2 weeks' time. The Carrera Cup Benelux races I recommended were a bit less eventful than I'd hoped, but there is still 2 key points to take from them. First, guest star Larry Tenforde had an easy time dominating the field in both races. This isn't unexpected of course, as there is certainly a case to be made for him as the best Porsche Cup car driver in the world, but still impressive to watch just how big the gap was. Second, Dutch youngster Robert de Haan continues to impress despite having to go up against Ten Voorde. He easily ran away from the field in both races and was the only driver remotely capable of staying near Ten Voorde, although he also still got gapped quite considerably. Unfortunately, drawing any other conclusion was about as impossible as actually enjoying the races, because the production quality was worse than what most sim racing leagues manage. No grid introduction or post-race graphics, and literally not a single time teams or full names of the drivers are displayed. And just look at those graphics. Using the first 3 letters of your surname sounds like a great idea, unless you have multiple drivers with the same first 3 letters, which was the case here. The car numbers could in theory clear this up, but there is no graphics ever matching car numbers to the actual driver names, so that doesn't really work either. Normally, the series acts as a support for something bigger, so the production is usually a lot better, but this was almost offensively bad. Get it together. And now to our shorter than usual around the world quickfire segment of the show. GTWC Australia had its penultimate round at Queensland Raceway with a pair of races. The Melbourne Performance Centre run Audi number 75 secured race number 1, thanks to a great stint by Max Hofer in particular, and the success penalty for the race leading sister car number 65. Race 2 had Max Hofer dominating out front until the pit stops, but teammate Jeff Emery got dropped significantly due to their own success penalty. He did make a brilliant recovery all the way to P2 though. This was aided massively by the race deciding move from Liam Talbot, who was attempting to get the 65 ahead of Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim in the 88 888 Mercedes, but ultimately resorted to a messed up dive bomb, spinning out his rival to take the lead of the race. The 88 still managed to complete the podium in both races at least. Back to single-seater feeder series, USF Juniors, the lowest rung of the IndyCar ladder, had a triple header at Road America, which was also the penultimate round of the season. The round produced 3 different winners, with Quinn Armstrong, Jack Jeffers and Max Taylor taking 1 each. Championship leader Brazilian Nicolas Giafoni had an almost underwhelming weekend for his standards, his first one without any win, but still retains a comfortable championship lead ahead of Armstrong and Joey Brienza. And last but not least, the British F4 triple header at Knockhill gave William McIntyre the chance to increase his championship lead over Louis Sharp a little bit by winning the first race ahead of his rival and taking a podium in race 3. The win in race 3 went to third in the standings Dion Gouda, while Deegan Fairclough managed to keep the gap close by taking the win in the reverse grid race 2. My driver of the week is Scott Dixon. Yeah, we had dominant performances from Larry Ten Voorde, the great drives by Max Hofer, or the victory in a damaged car from Hunter McElrea, but the way Dixon managed to take the win in IndyCar against all odds was definitely the most special moment of the race week. I may be a bit biased, but let's be honest, who doesn't love a bit of Scott Dixon? Next week will be the opposite of this week regarding the amount of quality racing, highlights of which include the next DTM round at the Lausitzring, the Austrian MotoGP weekend at the Red Bull Ring, the return of GT World Challenge America, as well as Super Formula and Supercars. So if you want to keep up with all of it, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss next week's Race Week review. Anyway, thanks for watching, take care, and remember, racing is more than just F1.